Okay, technique. How do we know that the hawk, who was saying something about punctuation? Jackson. Uh-oh, Jackson's gone. Go in.
I can finish.
Woo. Jacob, you were his partner too.
Yeah, he was saying how the hawk uses a lot more formal punctuation periods, colons, while the golden retrieval tone has a lot of like question marks, and it's a lot more like asking.
Good.
Ideas.
So there's a lot there. We have a lot of end stops, right? Look at all those end stops with the hawk. Okay. Whereas the punctuation, so punctuation in general could be a technique we talk about, and really both poems fall in that category. The dog's curious nature, and I think I heard your group talking about the question marks. Guys, don't miss question marks and exclamation points in poetry. Like, they're rarely there. So when you see a poem that has several question marks in it, you need to notice it, right? And think about how it's functioning. So the curious nature of the dog versus that very static, controlling nature of the hawk. Hi, Nicole. Welcome back. Okay, how else do we know the hawk? What else do we know about the hawk? And why do we know it? Robert.
I think the shift in tone from like something commonly getting to like is like how the hawk is powerful.
Good. So tone in general, right? Tone words. I think the imagery shifts. I think that if you wanted to talk about the shift in tone, I think you could talk about, hey, what is it? My path of flight through the bones of the living. Right? And then if you go to the tone and the imagery given to you in the dog poem, what do you get? Anna.
Playful outside.
Yes. Yes. Very playful. And think about, we're talking about the same types of, muck, pond, what's the list? Residue. Ditch. Okay. What does he call dead things, Megan? They're thrilling. Right? Think about that worldview of the thrillingly dead things, right? And the dog's perspective, because of course that's what that poem's all about, is the perspective of the dog, the Zen master. Right? Seeing the thrill, the spontaneity, having curiosity, rather than this hawk who's precise and controlled. Oh, Kyle's not here. Kyle, who was Kyle's partner? Olivia, you guys were talking a lot about the diction. What were you saying?
Oh yeah, we were saying the hawk has kind of like a professional diction and the golden retriever is more like childlike.
The hawk is elitist. Okay, even the use of the word sophistry. What is sophistry? Do you guys know?
Something too sophisticated.
Oh, good guess, but no.
Okay.
So it deals a little in the philosophical world of knowledge, but sophistry is like fallacious reasoning. So using fallacy, false logic. Okay, but it sounds really fancy. Right? Think about what that hawk does in the stanza about holding creation in his foot. Okay, there's a lot of false syllogisms, like if this, then this. He uses false logic and then claims there's no sophistry. Regardless, the diction is very elevated. It is very formal. Okay? Whereas the dog is, of course, casual and playful and childlike. I think that childlike sense of wonder, okay? Rather than that fixed, precise, even manipulative language you get from the hawk. It's really important. How do we know the hawk is egocentric and selfish?
There's a lot of my and
Good.
my where the dog
Yes. Look at the pronouns. Right. My, I. Okay. All those possessive, personal pronouns, right, with the hawk tell you he's egocentric. He's selfish. The world has been created for him. Nature, the trees are tall, so he can sit in them. The air is buoyant, so it will help him fly. Everything centers around him. Whereas the dog, okay, invites you into the poem. You. Okay, talks to the reader. Talks to the human. Anything else? Technique-wise? Jacob?
All of the lines are capital.
Absolutely. Good. Okay. The first word of each line being capitalized. Definitely a distinct choice by the poet, because it's not always mid-sentence, or at the beginning of a sentence. What I have to say is important. Look at me. I am powerful. You have to talk about that metaphor in the dogs, right? That humble, submissive, yet powerful line about his bark being, right, the Zen master's broad dugong, bringing you back to where you should be, serving as a spiritual guide. As far as figurative language goes, there's a big synecdoche in the hawk roosting one. What's that? What's that? Yeah, the part to the whole. Very good. What is it, Megan? Oh, you were defining synecdoche for us. How about this line? It took the whole of creation to produce my foot, my each feather. Now I hold creation in my foot. So he's resting on a branch, or with his talon around the branch, and he says the branch is what? Creation. Okay, the whole of creation. Okay. Why would it make sense that the hawk, because normally synecdoche you go whole to part. Why would he go part to whole? Yes, because of the hyperbolic nature of the hawk. It makes things seem bigger and better and more powerful. Now scoot yourself, before the bell rings here, scoot yourself on over to, oh no.
This time I need the football team to report directly to the gymnasium. Directly to the gymnasium.
Oh guys, clear the way so all the football players can. Anna, your face. I have some very smart football players, by the way. No. It was your face of like, oh man, I'm so disappointed. Oh wait, I'm not a football player. I don't have to go. That was what I was laughing at. Shift on over to worldview. Okay? So obviously we're dealing with different types of animals, question mark? Jacob's nodding at me, no. What are we dealing with, Jacob? Different people's personalities. Okay? Now, you don't have to go to that level in this poem, right? Honestly, when you look at the examples, I wasn't super impressed with the examples, but you could stick to this idea of control, manipulation of the animals, and the contrast there. However, if you understood what was going on in these poems, and there's so much material here, you could cheat another essay 5 or 10 minutes and go for it in worldview. Talk about the personalities. Talk about the mindset of different types of humans, and then the result of those behaviors. Does that make sense? Okay, so what kind of language would you use to talk about worldview? Or their view of the world, their perspective of the world? Go ahead.
Talk about the way humans from that God accomplished, about how God accomplished death.
Yeah. Oh, good. The behavior of the hawk leads to death and destruction, especially that sense of superiority. That's really good. He's up high. There is no mingling with any other part of nature of humanity. It's just it's self-serving. And that self-serving nature leads to destruction. Beautiful. Conversely, look at the dog. The dog is in the muck, the ditch, the residue. Oh, yes, his willingness to interact invites you in, and you learn from that dog. And you obey the dog, right? Which is, of course, a great paradox in the poem. That we think of the master owner in sense of dogs, but this dog here is guiding. I don't know, I think Jody is using that paradox of the dog. The human needing the dog more than the dog needs the human, which I think most people that are pet owners would maybe agree with. Good. Anything else about worldview you would add? So we could go that perspective. Very good. I heard some nice conversations about control versus curiosity. Was it your group that was talking about the curious nature? Ladies back there, I think. It was Olivia. Okay. What were you saying? What do you see here? Whichever one is willing to talk to me.
Yeah, with the question mark. Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, let's look at the lines then. Let's do it together. The hawk ends with saying, I am going to keep things like this, period. Okay. Mary Oliver has this great poem, I was mentioning it earlier in fourth period, where she talks about laughing in the face of people who think they know all the answers. And then bowing in astonishment at the universe in itself, right? And I'm always reminded of that line when I read this, of this hawk that thinks it's got everything under control, when really the joy and the truth of life and the living in the moment and the joy is found in the curiosity.
Students and staff, we'll get ready here to come down the pep rally shortly, but a few announcements here before we get started.